Well, I'm kind of start the same way I do every week. Thought we had a good practice today. It was good to get back out on Tuesday. Guys are really, I think, focused and hungry and desperate, I think, to play well. And so, I was encouraged by the work I saw today and the guys' attitude. I think that really, truly hadn't been a problem for us at all this season. It's just been carrying over, what we do in practice to the game. There were, I just think every team is different, and I think our guys are learning, just how important it is to, do the little details correct, and I think those are the things that kind of bitten us in the rear end a little bit. And so, they're focused and working hard and have a really positive attitude, and, I think I said this after the game, but I was really impressed with their attitude during the game. And they were disappointed and upset, but they were in a really good place. The guys were always positive, rooting for each other. There was never any, complaining about one side of the ball or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm encouraged by those things, and we're working through a rough patch here, and we've got to get better. But I'm encouraged by the attitude and work of our players.
Do you have an official update on Chandler, Coach?
Yeah, sprained MCL, kind of the same injury he had last year. I think it's going to be a week-to-week thing. I think we have kind of a timeline that is the assumption. But, I talked to him today. I think he feels better than he expected to. And so, we'll kind of see how he progresses and how he heals. He says he feels a lot different this go-around in a positive way than he did last go-around. So, we'll kind of see how it plays out.
Is that actually better than we thought it would be?
Yeah, I think so. It's better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, and so I'm encouraged by that.
What stood out to you about Josh Hoover so far?
Josh has had some limited exposure. Tried to get him in the game. That's, a big part of the reason we relished those reps that we got early in the year that he got to get against Nicholls State. He fumbled in the red zone one time, first play, threw an interception later. Kind of learned from that. Had a tough start, I think, with those things. But, when he got in the game Saturday, same thing, he threw an interception, tried to force the ball down the field. I think given the circumstances of the game and the fact that we were behind, that's probably a throw he doesn't make, had that not been the situation. But I thought he played well once he settled in. I really did. I thought he did some good things. I thought he showed a lot of poise. I know our players have a lot of confidence in him. I think he's, got the players' respect. I think the guys like him, and I think they're going to play hard for him. But he hadn't had a lot of reps, and so there's going to be some growing up and learning during the game that is, not always going to be perfect, but I'm excited to see how he does. I expect him to do well.
Coach, when you first got hired on, he was, I think, maybe the first quarterback you went after. What can you tell us about what you liked about him and what his strengths are?
Well, I think he obviously throws the ball well. He's a good athlete. But the biggest thing is kind of the intangible stuff with him. You know what I mean? He's just is very mature, very settled. Very hard worker. First guy in, last guy to leave type of guy. When you do that consistently over a 2-year period and you're not the starting quarterback, I think that shows people a lot about your character and who you are. And I think people are always watching. A team is always watching the guys on the team. And, they come to respect guys that put the kind of work in that he puts in. And so, as I said earlier, I do think that there is an appreciation and a respect for him, and a lot of confidence in him because of the work that he does and the work that he does behind the scenes. And so that's kind of what drew us to recruit him, was just that when you got to know him a little bit, he was that kind of guy. He just was going to be somebody who got the most out of his talent, who was going to have a great work ethic, who had been really productive as a high school quarterback, but also at the same time, just had kind of that it factor.
What are some things you guys think you can do to kind of make the game easier for him?
Yeah, and I think the thing we gotta do is just focus in on the things that he likes and he's good at, and so that's been the big challenge for us. Offensively this week has been number one, what can we execute consistently? Number two, what's he comfortable with and what does he like? And so those are the things that we're going through, and as we install the game plan, part of it today and the other part tomorrow, and kind of get it all fixed on Thursday and Friday, there's gonna be things that he's gonna say, I really like this, I don't like this as much, what about this, and so it'll be a little bit of a moving target as we go through it, but he's been really smart, picks things up. I mean, it's not like we're gonna have to limit what we're doing, you know what I mean? He knows what to do, but I think the biggest thing is always just try to build the offense around what he likes and what he's comfortable with.
Coach, trust between the quarterback and the receiving core has been a big topic, especially this season.
Right.
How do you see that kind of coming?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of confidence in him, and I think we're starting to get everybody back and more reps, and the more reps they get, the more that confidence comes. I mean, there's no shortcut for that stuff. I mean, there's just not. And so it takes time. I mean, good quarterbacks and good receivers, those guys work with each other, 200 plus days a year probably. When you start looking at the elite quarterbacks in college football and the elite guys in the NFL, we saw Pat Mahomes training here in our indoor facility a bunch this summer, and, there were guys that got on flights to come out here and practice for a couple of days. That's how important that stuff is. And so when those guys have a chance to work together consistently, then that's when the magic happens. So, we're doing some catching up because of some late additions, and we're relying on some guys a little bit more maybe than we thought we were going to because of injuries or whatever the case may be. And so that's still a work in progress, and I wish we were further along than we are, but the bottom line is we're still trying to get there.
Last week against Iowa State, you guys shifted the offensive line. Brendan moved back to left and Andrew moved back to right. Was there a thought process behind that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we wanted to do is just make sure that we set an edge with the tackles. We felt like we'd given up a little bit too much push at times, pocket collapse, and so we just wanted to get those guys back playing at the positions we think they're best at playing, more comfortable playing. And so that was kind of the reason the move was made. And felt like that some guys worked themselves into getting on the field. Deary's somebody who I thought, continues to practice hard. Again, he's a new player. He's figuring things out, but he is, he's tough. He's a tough-minded guy. He plays physical. He plays hard. He's got good size inside. Just like the way he plays, and felt like that he deserved to get on the field a little bit more. And so, we felt like, okay, who are the best five? The guys that are producing and give us the best chance to go win games, and we felt like that was the best five.
Will that be the case again this week?
Yeah, that'll be the case again this week, and we're not giving up on anybody. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are continuing to develop. I mean, obviously Ben's going to be a guy that's going to develop. Mike Nichols has done some really good things for us at times this season, and Mike just hadn't played that much, and so we're still trying to get guys to come along and to play at the standard they need to play at.
What just kind of stood out about BYU when we got to the film?
Yeah, just a good solid football team. I think that's the bottom line. I mean, you look at them and they're good on offense, they're good on defense, they're good on special teams. It's a solid team. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They execute the red zone. They're good on third down. They just don't make a lot of mistakes. Very few penalties. Like kind of what we talked about that we're not doing. They're playing winning football, and they're 4-1, and that's why. It's because that's been their formula, is to go out and to play winning football. Take care of the ball. Really be good in special situations. And do the things that it takes to win a football game. And they've done a really good job of doing that.
Coach Kalani Sitake yesterday talked about y'all's relationship and how he and his wife kind of look up to you guys, you and Kate, how you handle things. What's he like off the field? I mean, we see him.
Actually, Kalani's a lot of fun. I mean, truly, a big personality, just a really cool guy. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that, probably looks a lot different on the game, on the sidelines, than he is off the field. Fun-loving guy. You can tell people just gravitate toward him. He's got a big personality. Really respects football. That's what I love about him. He's wants to talk football. He loves the game. I think he's very appreciative that he's got a chance to coach at BYU, and I think it's when you see guys like that, I think it's the way it's supposed to be. Guys that love their job and they're appreciative that they have it, and And they make people better, and Kalani's certainly one of those guys that does that. I mean, just being around him just makes you better, it makes you want to be better. He's just that kind of person.
Defensively, it feels like the team has leveled out a little bit. And
Yeah.
Is looking progressive.
Yeah, I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. I think at times, we gave up a couple of big plays on Saturday where we got out of some gaps, and we can't do that. That's the thing about it is, like, it's like anything else, and it's kind of what people have done to us to an extent is, in today's college football, man, it's hard to string together a 15-play drive. It just is, with all the different looks you're going to see defensively, and it used to be a lot easier when people played one or two base looks, and now it's everybody's doing so much on defense now and moving around so much, and you're going to get caught in some bad plays and some negative plays, and so if you can make somebody really drive the ball the length of the field, it's going to be hard to do that consistently, and our defense has done that for the most part. We gave up a couple of big plays Saturday that hurt us. We gave up a couple of 3rd and 4th down conversions that hurt us and kept some drives alive. But I think that we're getting better. You know what I mean? I think we're more consistent week in, week out, and I think our young defensive line is improving. Those guys, I think, get better all the time. Johnny Hodges was a loss for us. Just what he could do and how he could do it hurt us a little bit. But Chad has come in and really upped his game a little bit. And I think the fact that Shad could kind of bounce between Johnny and Jamoy and keep those guys fresh, we missed that a little bit. But we've got some young linebackers that I'm excited about, and they're starting to earn a little bit more playing time, and they'll get on the field a little bit more, and excited to see what those guys can do. And, but I like the progress that we're making. I really do. And I think the guys have been, playing hard, and they've been consistent. And I think that we're starting to get, better corner play. We're going to need it Saturday. Those guys are going to test us, and they do a great job throwing the ball. And so anyway, I think it'll be, like I said, I'm proud of the progress that our guys have made.
Coach, when you look at the offense, is there anything that you want to see more from maybe a play calling perspective, or maybe see more certain individuals involved more in the offense?
Well, I think I just want to see consistency. I mean, that's been the issue. And I'm not look, when a play doesn't work, it's everybody. It's always everybody, and I'm never going to throw a player under the bus. But like we got to midfield, and we had a 4th and 1 the other day, and we had the perfect play called. We anticipated a certain blitz. We had a perfect play called for the blitz. If we execute the play, it's going to be a 20 to 30 yard gain minimum, and potentially could be a touchdown. And we have somebody go the wrong way. And we've repped the play. I think we went back and looked at it 26 times, I think, versus that look. So, do you have an explanation for that? I don't. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's always the same thing. You got to go back and you got to do better as a coach. It starts there. Somehow we made that mistake, and we can't do it. It's the same thing on the punt team. We have guys on the punt team that, we got a punt blocked. We had somebody that cut somebody loose, and they've never done that once. I can show you literally hundreds of times that we've showed them that block, and they blocked it right every single time. And so, again, we need to do it 100 more times. That's what coaching is. It's understanding that, look, it begins with us, and if something's happening and they're not getting the communication or whatever, then we're not doing a good enough job of teaching them or emphasizing it. But that's the kind of stuff that we've had issues with. More than anything else. And it's guys that have played a lot of football, and it's guys that are good players. For whatever reason, we've made mistakes in critical situations this year. And we have to figure out why and get it fixed.
Coach, in the NFL, they always, when they talk about quarterbacks, when a guy gets hurt, another guy comes in, it's all about reps.
Yep.
How do they divide the reps up?
Yeah.
In the college game, is it that big of a,
Yeah, it's similar. I think it's probably similar. Look, the NFL is probably a little different. In NFL practice, they probably don't get as many reps maybe as we get in our practice, but typically your backup quarterback doesn't get a lot, just because, and we probably rep ours more than most people just because of the number of reps that we get in practice. And so our guys, our backups probably get more exposure than most people, but yeah, that's what playing that position really is all about, is reps. You know, it really is. And there's, you know, because you learn from every single time you drop back and throw. I've always equated it to an at-bat as a baseball player. You know what I mean? It's one thing to hit off of a pitching machine. It's another thing to get into a game and get game reps. And those things are very difficult to replicate. You know, everything happens faster in a game than it does in practice, and you know, you have to be more precise. And you know, scout team tries to do the best that they can, but you know, it's not the same. And so it's yeah. So game reps are hard to beat, man. And getting an at bat is a big deal. You know, you just learn so much every time the quarterback drops back and throws. You know, he gets to learn a little bit how to move in the pocket, a little bit how to, you know, a little bit of different looks, how to throw certain balls, you know, relationship with this particular receiver. He wants it here, he's gonna make this break, he's good coming out of the break on this side, he's not as good coming out on this side. I mean, just all those things are things that, again, are born from reps. And as I said earlier, you know, I think the great quarterbacks and the great receivers, you know, it's a 200-day-a-year commitment.
Does it put more pressure on this week though with your backups like?
Yeah, I mean, sure it does. Yeah, of course it does. I mean, it just haven't had as many reps as Chandler got, and so you know they're a little bit behind, but you know, there's no excuse. We got to get caught up.
Coach,
Two more questions.
go ahead, Jim.
You mentioned that you guys are in a little bit of a rough patch. Does your message to the coaching staff and the team change?
No. I mean, look. I mean, we have a sense of urgency, and our program is all about, you know, has always been built on the sum of the parts being greater than the individual. And you know, we haven't been able to do that so far, and that's, you know, that's why I think in the past, you know, we've been successful, is because, you know, we've been able to go out there and consistently play at a high level regardless of who we were playing. You know what I mean? And it was never a build up for this certain game or that certain game, and you know, it was a consistent approach every single day, having respect for every team you played regardless of who they are, you know, win the games you're supposed to win, and you know, that hasn't necessarily been the case this year. And so that's why I think I'm disappointed, is because, I mean, that's a coach's job, is to get their player to play not only to their capacity, but truly better than their capacity. And that's, you know, when you can do that, that's what the elite coaches do. And so if that's not happening, then it always begins with us. And what can we do better, and what adjustments can we make? And you know, but we have a standard, and they have to meet the standard all the time, regardless of, you know, whether we're 3-3 or 12-0.
Coach, when you look at Amani, he was running just as hard in the fourth quarter as he
Yeah.
was the first quarter. Has he kind of exceeded your expectations with how he's been able to carry that workload?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the thing that's been impressive for him has just been his ability to stay healthy, you know, and I think that because he's had a lot of exposures, you know, and he gets a lot of carries, and that's a 365-day-a-year approach to be able to stay healthy. You know, he takes care of himself in the off season. He does everything he can do to ensure that he's, you know, giving himself a chance to stay healthy every day. And that's why he's developed as such a good player, is because he practices every day. He practices hard every day, and what you see in practice is what you see in games. And so that's why he's, you know, been the most consistent guy, is because he's had that approach, and he does it every single day, and it carries over to the ball games. And you know, for him, the ball games are just like practice, because he does that every day in practice. And so when he gets in the games, you know, it's not, okay, here I go, it's game time. It's, hey, look, I got to do what I did on Tuesday. I got to do what I did on Wednesday. And that approach is what, again, the great ones do.